What's up everyone? So I wanted to do a quick comparison of the ZV-E10, my GoPro Hero 10, and my Pixel 8, but I wanted to do something a little bit different to make it a little more interesting. So we're going to be shooting in different lighting conditions, and I'm also going to be talking about something that I believe is going on within, I guess, personal videography. I think we're going through a new era. So what do I mean by new era in personal videography? Well, let's start out with a little history, and I'm no historian on the topic, so you're welcome to make corrections down below in the comments. But I remember my mom had a 35mm film camera in like the 70s and 80s, and my dad he started off with one of those video cameras where you had to watch the footage with a projector, and unfortunately, like, all that footage is just lost because we didn't keep up with technology and convert those over. But then he got a Betamax video camcorder. Man, that thing was, you had to lug around the battery with its own like little cart and everything. Wow. We pretty much lost all the footage. I've got a little bit of that footage when we were in Hawaii, and also when we took a cross-country trip from LA to, I believe it was West Virginia. Yeah, West Virginia. After that, we got a more modern camcorder. I believe it took VHS tapes, and my friends and I used to use that in junior high school to record funny videos, skateboarding videos, in the 80s, and we really enjoyed that. Again, I lost, I think, all of that footage. In my late teens and early 20s, I didn't really get into videography because that was when cell phones were coming into style, and their video was just horrible. We didn't have the bandwidth or anything to upload anything more than just photos, so that was pretty much it during that time, which is unfortunate because, you know, your late teens, early 20s, I mean, that was a fun, adventurous time for most of us, but no video, just pictures. I'd love to go back and see how we actually sounded and acted during that time. Then came mirrorless cameras after DSLR cameras, which made things a little bit smaller. Also, bandwidth increased with like fiber to your house, and platforms like YouTube and Vine started blowing up, and people everywhere started vlogging, and some of them even made careers out of it. So we already have our first small problem, and that is to use an ND filter or not. So I was using an ND filter before to get optimal video quality out of the ZV-E10. I took it off, and I still, because of the larger sensor, in this low light situation, need to put on the ND filter again, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going to roll along, keeping that in mind. So the advancements in mirrorless technology, and also cell phone video getting better and better, made it more accessible to everyone, not just people in Hollywood or people with tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. So TikTok comes along, and now shooting video and videography is a sport. With the sport, you want to find the best equipment possible to up your game, so to speak. And with TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook Reels, everyone's now searching these platforms to find what's best for them, what's best suited for every and each environment. All right, it's now about blue hour, so let's see what this APS-C ZV-E10 can do. So I think this is the era that we're in now, where cell phones give access for videography, personal videography, for pretty much everyone out there. But what is next? I think besides cell phones, action cameras and APS-C cameras, maybe even full frame cameras, I think that we're now in an era where something like the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 will come in very handy for folks. That is a new tool, and I think that's the way we're headed. So the whole history of cameras has been one where we're trying to match what we're seeing with our eyes. And it used to take, motorcycle, it used to take something like this in order to get that. But we've gotten smaller and smaller and more accessible with new technology. Bear with me a moment. So what I want you to do is focus on something in your near field of view and lock onto it. Maybe it's, you know, the corner of your TV, your mouse, keyboard, whatever, and then move your eyes down, up, side to side, and then jiggle it like you're kind of running. You see, you didn't even have to think about it because your eyes are essentially little gimbals. Now, I want you to put your hand up in front of yourself and focus on like maybe your fingers or something, and then notice the background. Is it blurry? That's because not only are your eyes small gimbals, but they're also very large sensors with variable aperture. I think the city of Fayetteville was really trying to help the Pixel 8 Pro out, because as soon as I started shooting with it, all the lights came on, all these exterior lights come on. So it is what it is, but as you can see, this is the larger sensor on the Pixel 8 Pro. And while we're at it, ultra wide for a few seconds. Let's take a little spin. It's probably fairly cinematic. Oh, and while we're at it, let's go even wider. Let's go Pro. GoPro Hero 10 here. What do you think? So let's just do a little bit of walking, city, I guess, night vlog, so to speak. And what I would be looking for are little, micro jitters in the lights and everything as I walk. But speaking of the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, those are some things that it will help with, because it's basically, you've got a large sensor, a 1-inch sensor on a gimbal in a small form factor. And that is quite amazing to me that they've done such a thing. And I didn't expect it, to be honest with you. So they've done a really good job at making a camera that's a lot like your eye, because it has a large enough sensor to get some separation in the background. And at the same time, it's stabilized by a gimbal, which is why I had to buy it. Now, it won't be here until November 22nd, but I feel like it's going to help me to create more content for this channel and just to be a better tool for me to use. I was just also reminded why I wanted the thing in the first place. I forgot to lock my gimbal positioning, and I totally had to rebalance the gimbal. It's just a pain in the butt. But before I go, let's dream just a little. So what is after the Pocket 3? Maybe we get a Pocket 4 or a Pocket 5 with even a larger camera sensor and a variable aperture, much like our eyes. Or maybe we get cell phones with a little gimbal inside of them, and a larger sensor, but you'd have to increase the size and width of the actual cell phone. So we've kind of reached the limitations on what can go in a cell phone. So maybe someone invents a tiny little dumbed down Pocket 3 that operates just like it, but connects either wired or wirelessly to your cell phone to use the operating system there as well as the processor. So maybe it's kind of a hybrid thing like that. And then what's next? Do we have, a stereo type of camera like the Pocket 3 with 2 camera sensors on them to record VR? So I think that's how that would work, getting closer and closer to the way that the human eye records things. So are we getting the micro jitters yet with the Pixel 8 and the GoPro? I don't know, because the lighting here in downtown Fayetteville is pretty darn good. I'm at ISO, or auto ISO, 1600, 2500 now. Now we're underexposed, or so the ZV-E10 says. Let's go a little bit further into here, get a little darker. Now I can definitely see that I'm underexposed here. So here's what that looks like on the Pixel 8 Pro's selfie sensor. And here's what that looks like on the Pixel 8's main sensor. that's what mostly we're interested in seeing. And here's what that looks like on the GoPro. Now keep in mind, it's not gonna expose for the face. There's probably less noise because I've limited the ISO with the GoPro, so keep that in mind. So this vlog was kind of as much for me as it was for you, and also a chance for me to really test out the ZV-E10 and my Crane M3 gimbal. You know, I was hesitant to take this thing out a lot of times because, I mean, it's heavy, it attracts a lot of attention. People ask, who are you with? And I'm like, YouTube, I got 150 subscribers, which doesn't seem to justify this level of gear. In addition, you know, you go out on a night and you don't know who's there, or who's looking at you, who's eyeing your camera gear and stuff like that. With the Pocket 3, you know, I think things will be a lot easier. And, you know, when you take it into a restaurant, you won't be as conspicuous. So anyway, guys, I think it's a good time to be a content creator with all these new technologies coming out, unless you're in the Middle East, of course. So anyway, with that, see you in the next one.